How's it going, everybody? This is the Nitty Gritty. My name is Chad. With me, as usual, is Leonard. This is a show about wrestling, and we're not going to be doing just a regular review of WrestleMania. A lot of people have obviously already seen it, have their thoughts on it. We are going to be recapping and reviewing the event, but we're going to be talking about the weekend in general because I was lucky enough to attend both nights of WrestleMania this year, as it was in Philly, which is somewhat near my neck of the woods. It didn't take me too long to drive down there. And being that this was WrestleMania 40, I wanted to go to this one, even though I don't really keep up with WWE storylines apart from what they post on social media, which in many ways is all you really need to do these days, unless you want to watch full matches. Um, so, yes, I did not attend SmackDown, but SmackDown occurred on Friday, obviously, and then after SmackDown, I guess if you bought a ticket to that, you also got to see the Hall of Fame as well. And I did eventually watch the Hall of Fame, and I thought that they did a wise thing, no pun intended, by having Paul Heyman start out that ceremony. He's, I guess you could say, the headliner of this year's Hall of Fame class. And obviously, he's going to be the one talking the longest. So they got him out there first, and it was a good speech. You know, Paul Heyman knows how to talk, and he put on the ECW coat and hat and headset, and that was obviously very cool. As we are in Philly, it's a big ECW area, and there were other cool inductees as well. Muhammad Ali, whose widow went up and presented The Rock with the People's Championship belt. The U.S. Express was there as well, Thunderbolt Patterson. So all in all, I thought it was an okay Hall of Fame class.
It's obvious that Vince isn't picking it anymore.
And yes, I don't know why it's obvious to you, but it was obvious to me because Thunderbolt Patterson was in. And that has nothing to do with who Thunderbolt Patterson is. It has to do with the fact that Thunderbolt Patterson was wheeled out in a wheelchair. So Vince, from what we've always heard on podcasts, was never going to have people that were handicapped in any way get up there. And that was changed this year. For the better, I might add. Now, Thunderbolt Patterson's speech was very long and, was what it was. But he deserved to be there. And despite the fact that he's older and in a wheelchair. So, yes. But why was it obvious to you?
Well, Thunderbolt Patterson.
Okay.
But also some of the names. I mean, the U.S. Express were attacking for 37 seconds, but Triple H likes him.
And I'm sure he does, but I think that one was weird because
that's a Bray Wyatt. That's because we can't put Bray Wyatt in now, so we'll put in his dad and his uncle,
which is kind of odd to me. But there it is.
Yeah, I don't know why they thought they couldn't put him in now. That seemed weird, but that seems like how. Not saying that Rotunda and Wyndham doesn't deserve to be in, but the fact that Wyndham is in as a horseman.
Right.
So I thought it was just odd. Like, why the U.S. Express? I mean, is the Soul Patrol getting in next year because Rocky's dad? And of course, The Rock's grandma got in because The Rock. This very much smacked of who's in charge now.
Yes,
you could look around. Who has connections? Who likes who? That's what this very much smacked of. The only one that seemed real legit was Heyman because they were in Philadelphia and they will often kind of coordinate someone getting in with where they're at.
Yeah, no, you make a lot of good points. So my weekend obviously started on Saturday this year. I was only going to go to one night, but eventually I ended up getting tickets to two nights. I took my daughter, the only child I have that wants to watch wrestling in any way, with me. I took her on Saturday, and it was very cold on night one.
Where were your seats? How high up were you?
So we were in the club level of Lincoln.
That's what, second bowl?
It's not it's not nosebleeds. It's kind of in the middle. You know,
Okay.
like it's a good level in terms of food and drinks. Like that level inside is very nice. Um, and height wise, we had a good view of the stage. The set around the ring was kind of blocking our view a little bit. But you kind of alternate between looking at the ring and looking at the screens. Um,
How
so
old how old's your daughter?
she's 9.
How did she enjoy it?
Well, so I'll kind of touch more on that as we go over the
Okay.
card itself. But as a last minute decision, I got tickets to WWE World, which was at the Philadelphia Convention Center, and is the kind of what they used to call access event.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like the fan event. There's a big superstore there. There's like museum type set pieces there. There's a lot of good photo ops. You could get your picture taken in front of the ECW entranceway as if you're coming out as a wrestler. There was obviously talent that were speaking and whatnot. For an extra charge, you could meet the Undertaker. His line was miles long, so I took a picture of him from afar. But
Yeah, I've not been at a show where he's at, but I've seen him, and yeah, just to be near him's like $150.
yeah, other companies, not mentioning any company specifically, but any company that really wanted to learn about merch, like needs to have a spy go into WWE World because the level of merch, I think they already said that merchandise sales it broke records. It's hard to not to see why if you were even there at all. They have so much merch, so
Mhm.
many different types of shirts. They have Phillies themed shirts, Philadelphia Phillies. They have 76ers themed shirts, Eagles themed shirts, regular WrestleMania shirts, jerseys of every Philadelphia team with the WrestleMania logo, underwear, hats, shoes, everything. They had everything. I got kind of a jersey that was kind of an ECW themed jersey. Yeah, I mean, the merch was just out of control. Out of control. It was like a full Walmart sized merchandise area.
That's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So we went to WDB World, got a bunch of photo things done, and and that was fun, just to kind of kill time because I was very worried about parking. It ended up not being an issue, but
Well,
we
good. That's the number one thing I always get spooked on when we go anywhere. You can ask my wife is
well,
where are we parking?
there's context to that because with WrestleMania I was at to the 28 or 29, whichever one the Rock Cena 2 was. And that one, they being in New York, New Jersey, they filtered you kind of into that area by train, and then there was a New York, New Jersey one after that, which I think was 35. And that one famously had a big issue where the train stopped running because the event went too long and everybody was stuck
Oh,
at the
I think I
venue.
vaguely remember that now. Yeah.
I didn't go to that one, but I was very worried about parking, and it turned out not to be an issue because all the Philadelphia teams were away, and every parking lot in the area was open, so it was all good as far as that goes. Um, but I'll have more thoughts on my weekend here as we go, but let's talk about night one. And
Now, before we get going, I should say, our plan was for me to watch it on TV so we could compare and contrast. But I did watch the first three matches in night one, and then honestly, I got bored with it, and we'll talk about that as we go. And then the next day, my wife and I went to the Yellow Springs, Springfield area of Ohio because we had an eclipse on Monday, and that was in the path of totality. So I was out Sunday, Monday. We came back Tuesday, and I've also started a play. I'm appearing as Professor Plum in Clue, community theater version of that. So rehearsals were on Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm trying to get caught up from work. Tonight we took our dog to a meet and greet thing. And so, like, I've had no time to catch up. When I actually texted Chad today, I said, I assume Cody won. Like, I've not even listened to podcasts or read results or anything. So I have looked at results before coming on the night. That was about as much time as I had to do. But I can talk about the first three matches, and again, I do have some input on after looking at the results, some other things that happened.
Well, I mean, yeah, at this point, even if you didn't know the results, I mean, like I said, this is more talking about the weekend and like you said, comparing and contrasting to a certain
Mhm.
degree rather than just reviewing. I mean, at this point though, WrestleMania is somewhat old news for everybody that's been paying attention to other things going on in the wrestling world, which I'm not going to talk about here because that's either another show or no show altogether.
Mhm.
So let's get to night one. Before I say, I guess you could kind of say this with the last WrestleMania I was at. But this WrestleMania specifically, I really went to because it was WrestleMania. I can't say, and people that have listened to this show or watched this show know my feelings on the companies that are out there and what I watch more of. But I really there was no match in particular. I was like, oh man, I can't wait for this one. It was more for the atmosphere, really. It was more because my daughter was 9 and I knew she would be excited to go to one of those nights. And like I said, initially my plan was just to go to night one and then watch the other night at my house. But a friend convinced me to go to both nights. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. And
I've often said if you're not a fan of something like hockey, my wife and I have gone to hockey games. We're not hockey fans, but the experience of being there and being there live and seeing it live and everything going on around you. So that's definitely a valid point. And I should mention that SummerSlam is going to be in Cleveland, and I've talked to some people about possibly going up. So I may be able to report what SummerSlam was like if we wind up going.
absolutely, absolutely, that'd be awesome. Um, so let's get to night one. Some of the facts. Obviously, this took place in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, April 6th and 7th. Lincoln Financial Field. Night one's attendance was 72,543. Night two was 72,755. They listed a combined attendance, but I just think that's silly. So this was the first WrestleMania held after WWE merged with Endeavor to form the TKO Group Holdings banner. The first WrestleMania as they said at the beginning of the show, in the Paul Levesque era, the first WrestleMania not directly under McMahon family control. And as I found out afterwards, the first WrestleMania that Vince didn't even attend. All right. So Triple H comes out and introduces WrestleMania and gets everybody hyped up. The first match was Rhea Ripley against Becky Lynch for the Women's World Championship, 17 minutes and 5 seconds. And I was kind of surprised that they started, and surprised and not really surprised that they started with this one. I thought maybe the women would end at least one of the nights, but there was clearly a story arc that they wanted to concentrate on. But this match was fine for me. It wasn't as good as it could have been. And what I heard afterwards was that Becky was sick. I also think that the weather really was affecting the talent on night one because it was a lot more brisk than what I would have preferred. It was like 50 to 52 degrees, a very windy 50 to 52 degrees. And it you're hyped up initially, but as the night goes on, that temperature really starts to wear on you. And so I do think that this match took a little bit to get going, but like I said, it was fine for what it was. Rhea retains, as I think was the right decision. Was this one of the matches you watched, Leonard?
Yeah, I did, and I agree with you. It felt very awkward to start with, and I believe that was because of the fact they were going on first, and the environment, and the atmosphere, and the weather, and the fact that Becky was sick. And actually, and this is where I can chip in for my watch. Commentary got that over. Commentary basically excused the match, saying, "Well, Becky was sick and she had a fever, and it's so cold down there, and they got jitters because they're the openers." So it's everything you just said. Commentary covered
Interesting.
with them when the match started. So yeah, I think there was a lot of factors that kept it from uh, getting into a second gear. But once they settled down, I would say this was a pretty standard match for the two of them.
Yeah. Um, the second match was the six-pack tag team ladder match for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship. Now, this is going to be one of those matches where maybe it would have helped to watch the programming more thoroughly. Perhaps this was announced on one of the shows. I don't know, but I did not know that both titles were going to be up for grabs. I did not know that it could be separated by the end of this match. Like I said, I don't know if that was something they laid out beforehand or not. I think,
Yeah, they did. Because I don't know if they said it on a show, but when I was kind of looking at the card before, it was on it that way.
okay, yeah, I personally think that that decision is dumb.
Yeah, I was thinking that because how many tag teams do they have? I mean,
WWE,
this was 6 teams, sure. So how
mhm,
many teams do you have after that? If you count put Peace and Stables together, it's certainly not enough. I mean, even back in the day, say during the rich tag team era of the late 80s for them, they had one set of belts.
yeah, yeah, and WWE, and I'm sure it'll change a little bit now that Vince is out of the picture, but WWE has never been big on tag team wrestling. That's had its hills and valleys, but I would think that even AEW haters would acknowledge that they have more of the acclaimed tag teams. Um, in this particular match, you have A Town Down Under, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, The Awesome Truth, Miz and R-Truth, Finn Balor and Damian Priest for the Judgment Day, DIY of Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, The New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, New Catch Republic, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. And we have A Town Down winning the SmackDown titles, and um, The Miz and R-Truth winning the Raw tag team titles. This match went 17 minutes and 25 seconds. And like I said, I didn't really agree with the decision to have both these belts separated. I thought it. I thought the Usos and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens gave weight to the undisputed tag team championships last year, and I think that now they're diluting them again, and I don't think it's going to help the situation. R-Truth, who is low key an MVP of WWE, made this match entertaining. In the pantheon of ladder matches at WrestleMania, I would be shocked if anybody had this anywhere near the top. Like, and not to say it was bad, it was just more of a cluster because you have all these different teams, and this is the match where people look at it and say, "Oh, this is so we can get everybody a paycheck."
Yeah, there was
you
too
know,
many people involved for something like this, and they were pulling out chairs and tables. Why? You already have 2 ladders involved. You don't need more stuff. I did like the mix of the veterans and the younger guys. I like the fact that a younger team won the one set and an older team won the other set. Uh, Definitely from TV, I could tell Truth blinked and people were screaming. He was the most over person in this match by a mile.
yeah,
And it's just so neat to see the renaissance that he's under. I looked up his age while watching it. He's like 52.
yeah,
And and the fact that he is still performing at the level that he is, his timing, his comedic timing is really fantastic. So, I'm really glad that they did win a set of those. I think that might be, his crowning moment, at least, because they mentioned on commentary he had never won at WrestleMania before. He was like 0-7 or something like that.
oh wow,
So yeah, I can't remember exactly what it was, but he was winless. And so the fact that he won the belts, I think that was a nice moment. So yeah, I totally agree with you. This was all Truth popping the crowd whenever he did something.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree. And we haven't done star ratings really thus far, but I suppose with the women's match, I might go 2 3/4 or 3 stars if I'm being generous. And with this one, I'd probably go about the same. Um,
I would probably go maybe two and two. I would maybe go 2 3/4 for the ladies, maybe 2.5 here, because again, like I said, it was a cluster, and really the only thing that engaging was Truth.
yeah,
So you got one guy out of So 6 teams, 12 guys. So 1/12 of the match was over.
Right. And being a DIY fan, I was hoping that they would get a big moment, but to no avail. The next match is tag match: Rey Mysterio and Andrade against Santos Escobar and Dirty Dominic Mysterio. They have one side has Carlito, Cruz del Toro, Joaquin Wilde, and Zelina Vega. The other side has Angel, Berto, and Elektra Lopez. This match goes 11 minutes and 5 seconds.
See,
And
this feels like a Vince McMahon match because it was like, well, we can't have more than one Latino match, so just send all the Latinos we got out at one time.
yeah, this was clearly they had nothing for these people to do. And let's have Ray and Dominic against each other again. And this was one of those matches on night one that I don't think anybody really had a lot of investment in. I mean, I guess because the talent involved is decent, I might go 2 stars on it. I don't remember a ton about it.
I was gonna say 2 stars, and I agree. I could not be pressed to tell you one thing that happened in this entire match.
Right.
And that was the point where we were watching it, and my wife and I were gonna stay up a little bit later. She was reading on the couch, and I was like, "Hey, you want to watch something else?" She's like, "Well, you can keep watching it." I'm like, "I don't want to."
Oh,
But
that says a lot. Yeah.
yeah, I just didn't want to, and I was like, well, maybe I could pick up a few matches tomorrow morning before we left, and I just didn't either. So I know things pick up, but yeah, the first 3 matches left me as a viewer at home underwhelmed to the point that I just didn't want to watch anymore.
Yeah. No, I understand. And at this point, my daughter is still going strong, even though it was cold. She was enjoying it. The next match, I even turned to her and I was like, oh, this will be it has a potential to be a barn burner, and that would be Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso, brother versus brother. This match also it's listed as going 11 minutes and 5 seconds. It felt longer than that, but that's what's here in Wikipedia. This match was the biggest disappointment of the weekend by far, because I thought these guys could put on a really good match, and what was revealed was that as singles, they are not very strong. Jey Uso, much better as a singles than Jimmy. Jimmy is not very good as a single. This was 90% super kicks. And I know people will say, people in other companies do a lot of super kicks, but you know what? Those people in other companies that do super kicks also do other stuff. Argue with me if you whatever. But they do. They do other stuff. This match was 90% super kicks, and it was embarrassing, quite frankly. The story was told over a period of like 6 months or something. I mean, the video package that opened this was really moving because WWE's videos and their editing is second to none. Like, they are so far ahead in stuff like that. And I was like, that's what I mean. That's why I turned to my daughter and was like, this is going to be great. But it wasn't. It was just, it was like they didn't know what to do with each other, which is odd.
Well, no, I knew this was going to suck. Hardy Boys. When the Hardy Boys broke, brothers can't wrestle each other. I don't know. You go and you look. Well, Cody and Dustin is an anomaly there, but
That's
most of the
another
time,
topic.
yeah, but most of the time when like the Hardy brothers, I was like, when I saw the Usos, I said to myself, I bet this is going to be like the Hardy Boys. Like that match, everyone was up for it, and it was not good. The I don't know how many matches they had together, but the first time they broke up back in the day. So I felt that was going to be the similar thing, and it sounds like from you, I was correct.
Yeah, I would probably go 1.5, and that might be too harsh for some people, but I didn't like it. The next match, Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Naomi versus Damage Control of Dakota Kai, Asuka, and Kairi Sane. 8 minutes and 5 seconds. This match was fine for what it was. I knew it was going to be short because I knew that they were trying to get to the bigger matches coming up, and so I don't know if this one got time cut or not, but it was.
It was a reason to get the ladies on the card. And again, who got the pinfall?
So, by the way, Jey Uso beat Jimmy Uso. And in this one, Jade Cargill, Bianca, and Naomi pinned Damage Control.
But did Jade get the pinfall is my question.
She did, yes.
Okay, because again, she's who you're putting over.
Right. Correct.
So,
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. The next match would be for the Intercontinental Championship, 15 minutes and 30 seconds. Sami Zayn against Gunther. Before this match or the video package started, I thought for sure Gunther was going to win, but Sami Zayn won. And the way they did this was like the old school Brett and Shawn, watching them enter from the locker rooms. Like, and once I saw that, like, Sammy's hugging his wife and his kid, and like, Kevin Owens is hugging him before he goes out, and they're really building the underdog factor in this, and I was like, they might give it to Sammy, and they sure enough they did. And this match was very good. I'd probably give it like 3.25 stars. Sami Zayn is, known, I guess, over the past couple of years for his work with the Bloodline and the comedic stuff, but he is a very good talent, and he can work with pretty much anyone. And that he made this match, both of these guys made this match seem very logical in how it was executed. Very much the underdog story. Was it Gunther's best match ever? No, but it was good for what these guys could do in 15 minutes. And it was a good moment. Gunther, the Intercontinental Champion for an alarming 666 days. What a number that is. And
I wonder if they did that on purpose because of that number,
Yeah, you never know. And if I had to guess, if indeed you go to SummerSlam, it would not shock me if Gunther is next in line for one of the world title shots.
See, that's what I was thinking, because the Sammy wing surprised me too, but I had two reasons. One is they want to move Gunther up the card to be in line for one of the world title belts. It would not surprise me if he's main eventing one of the nights next year. And the other is WWE is always behind. Sammy was red hot at this time last year. I'm not saying that he's still not popular, but he's not as hot now as he was then. It's
Right.
the Zack Ryder factor. You get
Yeah.
yourself over and they ignore you. And then like a year later, they push you and it's not what it was. And they go, well, we were right. You're just not over. We waited too long. Oh, no, we didn't. That's you. So that's kind of what it felt like to me. Oh, Sammy, you did so good work last year. We're going to reward you a year later.
Right. No, I agree. And the main event, certainly didn't know it at the time, but the main event was 44 minutes and 35 seconds. Apparently,
When I looked at results, I saw times, and that amazed me. And I really would like to go back even now still and watch that one and the main event for the next night. But you tell me how it was paced, but that sounds like the longest match they've had in a long time.
well, apparently it's the second longest match in WrestleMania history behind Shawn and Brett.
Oh, there you go.
The Iron Man match. And, at the time, I did not realize that, because I did think it was paced well. Now, by this point of the night, the cold was starting to get to, I think, everybody. The crowd was still hot, don't get me wrong. But my daughter was getting tired at this point. And, obviously, it's a late night for her. And this show.
What time did you get out of there?
So I want to say it was close to, or a couple minutes after 11. So we're talking a straight 4 hours at least. And so you have the Bloodline, The Rock and Roman Reigns against Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, and Rock and Roman Reigns won. The stipulations were that if The Rock and Roman Reigns won, it would be Bloodline rules on night 2. And if Rhodes and Rollins had won, all the Bloodline members would be barred from the match at night 2. So this was paced really well. There was work outside the ring, people going their separate ways. I thought it was decent. I really did. I thought it was decent. I would probably go like 3.5 on this. And if I'm criticizing it at all, it's because I knew exactly what they're going to do as far as who would win. And
you guys stack the deck against Cody as much as you can. It makes no sense.
Yes, and it kind of gives away what you're going to do on night 2 as a result. There was a guy behind me that was one of those annoying contrary fans that was rooting for everybody that everybody hated, and he was even saying it. He was like, he was hoping that Cody and Rollins would win because to him that would mean that Roman retains on night 2.
Yeah.
But so he knew that if it went down the way it did, that Cody would win. So there you have night 1. All right, so let's move on to night 2. On this particular day, I did not go back to WWE World, but I did get my requisite Philadelphia cheesesteak, Leonard, and that was very good time. And
Did you get the stadium or did you go like a place on the way in?
I went to Pat's, which is there's Pat's and Geno's right near each other. And I had gotten Geno's years and years ago, so I wanted to get Pat's this time. And oddly enough, when I was standing in line for Pat's, friend of the show, Eric, was with me, and he's the one I went to night 2 with. And Jake Paul and 2 big Cadillac Escalades pulled up, and Jake Paul got out, and they were filming something, and it didn't surprise me that he was there, but he did not make an appearance on night 2 at the event, but he was in the area. So
which is better, Geno's or Pat's?
it's hard to tell because I had it literally 20 years ago when I was.
Okay, there you go. One is Cheese Whiz and one's not Cheese Whiz, right?
Well, so I mean, if you're in Philly, I always like to get Cheese Whiz on mine.
Okay.
Some people don't like that. Some people like to just go with the provolone or American and leave it at that. But me personally, I like to get it in that Philly style. So
I would be the Cheese Whiz Philly style kind of guy. So, yeah. If I ever go to Philly, I've been through Philly, but I've not ever been to Philly.
Yeah, it has its good areas.
Actually, I'd lie. Back in 8th grade, we took a trip to Gettysburg and such, and we went to a Phillies game. Philadelphia Phillies game.
Oh, that's cool. That's a cool
field. At the old Vets Stadium where we were there. So I have been in Philadelphia. I do lie. I was there. But I didn't get a cheese stick. I remember getting a dog because I was like, well, you gotta get a hot dog at a baseball game. I wanted an authentic, MLB
Absolutely.
hot dog. Having never been to an MLB game before.
Absolutely. You gotta have a hot dog. So our night 1 beginning match, in this case, we had Stephanie McMahon coming out and introducing the night. And, it's been a while since we've seen her. And she was putting over the fact that this is the first WrestleMania in the Paul Levesque era. And it was not a lot, but it was significantly warmer on night 2. And I had dropped off my daughter with my wife by this point, so the beer was able to flow, Leonard. So it was.
You didn't buy the kid a couple on the first night?
I wanted to be a good dad, and although she
if you want to be a good dad, then you would have bought her a couple beers. I mean, that's
right.
how that works.
I wanted to, she wouldn't have cared or probably even blinked an eye, but
you drink at home, right? So you drink at home.
Oh, she's seen me drink at home, absolutely.
Yeah.
But in this particular case, I chose not to that first night, and second night I was like, all right, let's knock back a couple, right?
Yeah, I'm razzing you, but yeah, whenever I took my sister's kids somewhere when they were younger, I never would get a drink because I just didn't feel that was responsible. So
yeah, well, yeah, and not only that, it probably cost me a year's salary in 2 days. Everything cost. So, and beer alone, it's like $15 to $20 a can now, which is just
anytime the last couple times I've been to any sort of hockey game, baseball game, whatever concert, I've not gotten a beer because it's just ridiculous.
So our first match is Drew McIntyre against Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship, 10 minutes and 30 seconds. I thought the pacing of this match made a lot of sense. It wasn't long. It didn't need to be. I liked how it started. Drew McIntyre gets the Claymore kick right off the bat. You think it's going to end before everybody sits down. And but it did go 10 minutes and 30 seconds. I thought this match was really good for what it was. I would give it 3.5 stars. Drew McIntyre would win. and it was clear. I kind of had a feeling what was going to happen here. Oh, by the way, CM Punk was on commentary. He was introduced, and so he was obviously there. So I don't know all of what he was saying, but Drew McIntyre got this moment. His wife was at ringside, and it was a good moment because, and I think long overdue, because Drew obviously won his big title at the WrestleMania during COVID, and getting a moment like this in front of fans was kind of taken from him by this act of God or whatever. And so it was cool to see him have this moment, even if it was only for a minute, because he then went over and started teasing CM Punk. They've kind of had a little bit of a rivalry back and forth with CM Punk injured, or so we thought. He did one too many taunts at CM Punk, and CM Punk trips him, takes off the arm brace, and knocks him out with the arm brace, which then brings out Damian Priest, Senior Money in the Bank, to cash in. And in 9 seconds, Damian Priest wins the World Heavyweight Championship. I think that Damian Priest as a talent is, I guess, okay. Do I think he's a top-level guy? No way.
What kind of reaction did you get?
Oh, people were like thrilled. I can't be the one to tell you if they were thrilled because it was Damian Priest or just thrilled because it was a cash-in. It was one of those kind of shocking things. People were psyched because this wasn't announced, obviously. I just personally don't think Damian Priest is a main event guy. I truly don't.
Well, sometimes, and I love this thing Jim Ross says, that you got to throw that dog in there to see if it hunts.
Well, that's true.
And last year Damian Priest, when they did the Puerto Rico show, he main evented with Bad Bunny. I think he appeals to a certain demographic. He is the Money in the Bank guy. Give it a try, see what happens. You can always move the belt back. I know they want to do Drew Punk when Punk's able to come back. And so I think this is a way just to move the chess pieces around the board a little bit. So I'm sure Priest will have some stuff with McIntyre, some stuff with Rollins going forward here. And it'd be interesting to see how this affects the dynamic of the Judgment Day. I wouldn't be surprised maybe if he starts going alone. I wouldn't be surprised if they break up the Judgment Day. I know the Judgment Day has been very over. But the fact that, Rhea's got a belt and Damian's got a belt, and I don't know if they necessarily need the stable. So, we'll see.
I definitely don't think Rhea needs the stable.
No.
Damian
Priest got him over in the first place. Remember when they started, it was Edge and two flunkies.
Right. And you know what? Not taking anything away from Finn Balor, who I like a lot. Dominic Mysterio is lucky to be a part of this group. People hate him for a reason. Damian Priest, I think, absolutely needs the stable, but Rhea Ripley is keeping the stable together. Every time she has a house show match and her pants get tucked up into her ass, like it just lights Twitter up. I don't know if you saw any of that, Leonard, but go look it up.
Okay.
Just trust me. And people love Rhea Ripley, and I do as well. I think she's great.
Yeah.
As a talent, as a promo, I think she's fun to watch. I really, really do. But she's keeping that stable together for sure.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. I definitely think Triple H likes Damian Priest, and I think that's why he's in the position that he is now. So we'll see what happens. Say the next match I knew was going to be short. It is the Philadelphia Street Fight, the Pride, as they're called, I guess. Bobby Lashley, Angelo Dawkins, and Montez Ford with B-Fab against the Final Testament, Karrion Kross, Akam, and Razor, formerly AOP, with Scarlett and Paul Ellering. Paul Ellering making a return to WrestleMania after who knows how long it's been since he was at a WrestleMania.
I would have to look. See the one time he was there one time with the LOD. I know that at least one time. I'd have to go back and look see which one that was. Yeah. He would probably be the oldest talent working, right? Or the talent that goes the farthest back
Probably, yeah.
actually involved in something. Yeah.
And Bubba Ray Dudley was a special guest referee here. He got a big reaction. This
Yeah.
match went
Nice.
8 minutes and 35 seconds. It was short. It was a street fight. It was fine. I maybe go 3 stars on it. It didn't need to be anything more than what it was. They involved
Mhm.
Bubba Ray Dudley. The people on the outside were involved. I thought that this was a fun little interlude. Um, exactly, really what it needed to be. Um, the next match was a match I was actually curious to see, once I realized that it was happening. And that was AJ Styles against LA Knight. It went 12 minutes, 25 seconds. Oh, I forgot to add the previous match. The Pride won that match. LA Knight would beat AJ Styles. I kind of saw that coming. And this match was decent as well. I would probably go 3.25 here. It
Knight's another guy that's going to win when it's too late.
Yeah, and you see, he's one of those guys like an AJ, like a Daniel Bryan, like a CM Punk, maybe to a lesser degree, where they get these guys after they've been on the Indies for over a decade or more, and they're getting older, and like LA Knight is finally over. It didn't help that before The Rock came back, he was getting compared to The Rock with a lot of the things he was doing, and now
Mhm.
with The Rock back there, and Dave Meltzer has talked about this. It doesn't help that you then have somebody who's doing Rock things with The Rock right there. It doesn't help your gimmick, So LA Knight had a moment there where he was right at that top level. We'll see if he can, hold out and get there. The crowd loves him, so for his sake, I think LA Knight is fine. So I hope he gets there.
Mhm.
And AJ Styles is obviously on kind of the downturn of his career, but can still go. And yeah, I thought this match was fine for what it was. Um, the next match was the match I by far had the least interest in of any match in either night, and that would be for the United States title, Logan Paul against Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. Logan Paul retains in 17 minutes and 40 seconds. The match itself was okay. I think I had gotten up to either go to the bathroom or get a drink at this point. This was my match to do that. And, so I don't know that I saw the very beginning of it. I saw most of it, though. I suppose it could get 3 stars. Like I said, I'm not a Logan Paul fan. I guess this is his permanent thing now. Um, I think Kevin Owens and Randy Orton are both above this level. So
What kind of reaction did Paul get?
I think that the WWE casual crowd like appreciates him as a heel. If I'm being as neutral as I can, in my
Okay.
opinion, I don't like him. I think he's good in the ring. I don't like him as a human being. um,
I hear that a lot.
yeah, I mean, from what he can do, good like solid work in the ring for a person that was a celebrity. I will give him that. I just he plays the heel and he's good at that. Um, I think the crowd appreciates him in that way. The generations younger than I don't think look at people like this the same way as you or I maybe would, Leonard.
So I point this, I keep asking you these questions not to put you down or anything, but to kind of point out that you're not necessarily their base anymore. You're
Oh
not
yeah.
necessarily, who they're catering to. So the fact that you say, "Yeah, I'm not into it. I don't like it," that's fine. But I'm interested in what the crowd reaction is to say, "Okay, well, somebody's digging it."
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I don't think and if there's anything I've said that I think that I put over as my opinion that's not the general consensus, please let me know. I always
Yeah,
try
I
to
know.
do
I
it.
don't think you've done that. I just think that I wanted to kind of clarify
Yeah.
that.
I don't. Again, I don't know that Logan Paul will. I mean, he's already main evented. against Roman Reigns, and what was that, one of the Saudi Arabia shows, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember
Um,
exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. It's not, if that's the type of direction that they're going in, it's not really for me. Yes. Anyway, after that would be the women's championship match: Bailey against Io Sky. 14 minutes and 20 seconds. This is a match I was interested in seeing, because I knew that one of the last things Bailey didn't do was win the Royal Rumble, which she did, and she was going to have her WrestleMania moment here, and she did. And I think that she deserved it, because a lot of times in the past she was injured during WrestleMania events, or there would be somebody else that they were pushing at the time. But she defeated Io Sky here in 14 minutes and 20 seconds. The match itself was okay. I guess maybe 2 3/4 stars. Bailey's past her peak at this point, but I think it was cool to see her have this moment.
Mhm.
So that leads us to the main event: Bloodline Rules for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. 33 minutes and 25 seconds. What a showcase this was. Cody Rhodes defeating Roman Reigns, ending his long title reign of over 1,300 days. And during this match, it had just about everybody. Was it overbooked? Yes, but in a good way, I would probably argue. You had Jimmy and Jay come out. Then you had Solo Sikoa come out. Then you had John Cena come out. Then you had The Rock come out. And then you had, out of nowhere, The Undertaker come out and chokeslam The Rock. It was like a brief moment in the middle of the match where like all these guys kind of keep coming out. But it was
Did Seth
exciting.
Rollins come out? Was it Seth Rollins?
You're right. I forgot about that. Seth Rollins did come out. It's like it was tough to see him because the camera angle at the time and the screens were just showing the Shield music, but he kind of
Mhm.
hobbled in because he was already injured from his match in Shield getup, and this kind of helped end the match. Actually, Roman Reigns decided to hit Seth Rollins with the chair, and that enabled Cody to get the upper hand and finally pin Roman Reigns.
Now, I did kind of read the storyline of this, and I think the interference actually it makes sense. You have the one Uso comes out, and then the other one comes out and blocks him. And Sikoa comes out. Well, Sikoa was the guy that put Cena out last time Cena was around. So then Cena comes out. So then Brock comes out. Well, you've got to have, if it wasn't Austin, Undertaker was the only other guy that made
See, that
sense.
would have made more sense to me. The other,
Yeah, Austin or Triple H maybe would have made more sense than
well,
Taker, but someone from
we
that
don't want Triple H
era.
to die in the ring. But
No, 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 no.
it's
So Undertaker makes sense, and then Rollins, of course, you go all the way back to the Shield turning up. So I think everybody it wasn't just like, well, let's just throw dudes out there to pop people.
the
It
Undertaker to me
makes
didn't
sense
make
who
sense
was
at all.
there.
The Undertaker is the only
What?
one that didn't make sense to me.
He doesn't really make sense. I mean, he's anyone from I guess the Attitude Era is workable, although Austin would have made the most sense.
Yeah, because they had the rivalry. Because
Yeah.
everybody you said had the rivalry going on. The Rock and Cena had that rivalry, so there was a big,
Mhm.
kind of showdown there. And then
I
at the
forgot to mention that Rock coming out after Cena makes sense. Yes.
but they had the gong happen, and like I said, even if I don't think it made sense for the Undertaker to be there, it was still cool to see him there. Very odd to hear the gong and see the Undertaker just in like a hoodie, though. And like
He's not dressing.
yeah,
They're not paying him enough to dress.
that's what I'm saying. Like it's just funny. This era of the Undertaker is funny to me. He's doing one man shows. He's doing interviews where he tells all. And now he's even getting in the ring in just a hoodie and a beanie cap because hey, it's um so
I thought it was so fascinating when like he kind of dropped the veil.
yeah,
He kept kayfabe forever until the
yeah,
point that he was done. And the fact that he is talking now and giving these interviews, I think it's so refreshing for him because he was the only guy that never did it up to this point,
right, true.
or up to the point of a few years ago, I should say. So,
And so, yes, there's a big celebration in the ring. A lot of guys come out and hoist Cody on their shoulders. The Rhodes family gets in the ring. It would have been cool to see Dustin there. I have no idea if that was suggested or even discussed. But
Now, I do know that when the Shield music started, that a lot of people thought it was going to be John Moxley.
I knew that it
And
wasn't.
and no, I saw something where people said no, they didn't. They never even reached out, and that wouldn't have made sense.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't have made sense, and it wouldn't have happened anyway. And I'm not
No,
just saying. I don't think John Moxley would have even considered it.
no, he probably even if they gave him clearance to go, I don't think he would want to go.
Right. Um. Yeah. So it was a good match. I might go 3 3/4 on it. I think that Cody and Roman worked pretty decently together. And it was a cool moment. The crowd really likes Cody. He has found a new life during this run in WWE. And I hope now that he's finished the story, I hope that his reign is a healthy one. I do think Gunther is, if you look at that meme of the Undertaker and AJ Styles from that COVID match,
Mhm.
I do think Gunther is the Undertaker in this case. I don't know if they're going to have Cody be a long reign. I suspect that.
No, I mean, if he loses at SummerSlam, it wouldn't surprise me.
That's what I
If
think.
if he's holding the belt by WrestleMania next year, that would surprise me.
Yes, I agree.
Gunther definitely. I think you could get some mileage out of pulling Randy Orton out of the mothballs, and doing something with them because there's a history there. Any of the other bloodline guys might be good for a monthly, premium live event to
Right.
step up. I know Jacob Fatu's coming in for the bloodline
I
at
heard
some
they
point.
signed him.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so you could always do something with The Rock. I mean, you could hold up Cody as the champ with some fill-in stuff before you wanted to pull the trigger. But I honestly think it's going to be Gunther. If they don't go back to Roman, which I think everyone would roll their eyes if they did, and I think Triple H is smart enough to know that. I think it's Gunther.
You'd really have to make a good case to give the belt back to Roman in any way at this point.
Mhm.
And they had a moment on the next night on Raw. I only watched the beginning of the Raw show. The Rock came out and congratulated Cody and basically hinted that their story is just beginning. And he's like, the final boss is gonna ride off into the sunset, but he's gonna return for him at some point. So who knows? With The Rock, you really don't know. I mean, right now he seems to be into it all again, but
Yeah.
he has a busy schedule, so who knows? So overall, it was a fun weekend in terms of like WrestleManias. It tracks with 10, 20, 30 in that there's a big title change and the start of a new kind of era. And I'm glad that they ended Roman Reigns, title reign here. I think that if they hadn't, it would have been a really huge mistake. I think they could have ended it earlier. But I'm glad that they ended it here. And
Well, dude, that's a Vince thing. It's the chase. It's not the destination. And he is like Lex Luger. You waited too long.
yeah,
And I don't know if they waited too long this time. I think they saved it in the last couple of months. The Rock really coming back and how they read the crowd and pivoted, I think, helped everybody.
I agree, and I'd be lying to everybody out there if I told them right now that I'm going to continue checking out WWE's product. I probably will not be. This was, in terms of watching modern WWE, this was, kind of almost like a last hurrah for me, because the WrestleMania was close to me. I was able to take my child. I was able to enjoy a 2 night WrestleMania. It was very fun. I got some cool merch, and it was overall a really fun time. The fact that I was able to go to WWE World, I'd always dreamed of going to one of those access events when I was a kid. When they showed footage of that stuff, so I was glad to do that. I don't know that if Gunther is in the title picture, I'll check that out. I'll probably check that out. I'll still probably keep up with it on social media because that's painless and doesn't take a lot of time. But I don't know how much more I will be checking out past this. But I think that the WrestleMania itself was fine. I don't know if it's a good or bad one on everybody else's card. I would give it a thumbs up. I thought that there was enough good matches there. They were telling some good stories. This is WWE's biggest event of the year, so they're going to tell good stories here. They had some good stories that didn't involve titles, and they had some good stories that did involve the titles. So that's kind of all I ask for as a fan. Like, don't just give me title matches that mean something. Give me some rivalries that we want to see end. And LA Knight and AJ Styles certainly qualified there. So among other matches. So yeah, I thought it was good overall. I didn't see the NXT event, but Leonard, any other final thoughts?
No, not really. As we talked about, I didn't get to watch the whole thing. I might still go back and watch the main event of night 1 and 2. I have not been watching any new wrestling on a regular basis. If I feel like watching wrestling, I'll find something on YouTube. I'll find something old on the network. I mean, that's just where my tastes have run. And that's where I'm at. I usually watch older movies and older TV shows, and I like older video games, and I'm just an old man. So,
Honestly, like I am headed that way myself. And not to get off on a tangent because we want to end on a good note, which is the fact that it was a fun weekend and
yes.
all that. But I've become very disillusioned with modern wrestling. I really have, which is another podcast. Some of the things that are happening recently are just sad to me. I'll just sum it up that way. But yeah, I the stuff that we do here on this show, I like the older stuff that we look at, the random matches that we dig up, and the rebooking and stuff like that. All that stuff is a lot of fun. Whereas sometimes talking about the modern stuff is just not as fun. But I don't know where your thoughts are. I mean, obviously we know since you don't really watch modern stuff, but
No, I just felt it was that we talked as the pandemic. I mean, I just stopped kind of watching there. I moved in with my wife, and she didn't care if I watched wrestling, but it was just the way it was. And when things turned around, I still didn't really, feel like watching the modern product. It didn't engage me like the
right.
older product did. There are some guys I like, there are some gals I like. There's occasionally a match I hear of that sounds good, I will watch, or an angle is like, oh, a character. But all in all, yeah, I'm good with not watching it from week to week.
Yeah. So if you watched it or if you were there, please let me know. I had a lot of friends and colleagues and stuff that had gone, and yeah, please let me know what you thought of either night or any of the matches or your experience. Please let us know in the comments. Thank you for checking us out. We will be back again for you next week. Check out our other videos, random match reviews, what's that card, segment surgery, stupid questions. We are also available wherever you listen to podcasts. So for Leonard, my name is Chad, and we will see you next time.